then you've lost complete credibility because you made your kid wear the coat and hat and gloves, and then they're like, no, Mom, I'm not doing that. Yeah, tell me when we start here, Christina. We're on now. Hey, everybody, JED in the region. I'm Jim Deedlow, host of this fine radio show's morning show. We are the purveyor of the WJOB spirit, the guider of what is good about WJOB as it moves into a new era. We moved into a new era last night as I closed it down, my first foray into teaching at the college level, and that was sports broadcasting. And I can't tell you, if you guys listened to the show last night, if you didn't, it's the first two, they did a 2-hour show. It was Jen Baker, Jay Coben, and Josh Salazar. And then they were produced by Leonard Powell. And they did an amazing job, as did the students who did their final 2-hour show on Monday night. That would have been Sonny Santana, Robert Aguirre, Edward Clark, and one other, Jesse Smith. Jesse Smith, remember Jesse was the pitcher out of Griffith. And they did a great job, and they were assisted that night by Autumn Martinez and Brittany Smith. And basically, we worked up to the point where they could do their own show, both hosting it, doing spots, doing all the video, putting graphics up, adjusting volumes. And a friend of mine, and I consider him a friend after all these years, he's just getting too old for me to not give him. I told him that I could never call him Mr. I could never call him by a first name. And I almost did it last night because he did a really nice thing for me last night. Is John Friend came out and he sat for about 10 or 15 minutes with the students, and they were at the end of the show when they came out, and they said, oh my gosh, I was just enthralled to meet such a legend around here and actually be able to talk to him on WJOB. So you can watch that. All you got to do is go on the Facebook feed and watch John Friend sitting with my 3 broadcasting students. I feel bad. Coach Friend's he's in his 80s now. And I had said, hey, Coach, can you come in and just sit with these guys one day? They'll interview you and just ask you a couple questions. And, will you do that for me? And he's like, yeah. And then he came to class one time, but we had moved the class from the campus. We were doing class over here at WJOB. So Coach went over there and sat in Porter Hall at a second floor. So he had to walk up the stairs to a classroom there, and I feel bad about that, Coach, but he's not holding it against me. And he came over here, and they were just enthralled yesterday. At the end, I thought they were going to say, oh, it was cool to have callers, or it was really just, they were all excited. Both groups were just on a high when they walked off of doing radio for 2 hours, and they did it at a reasonably high level. And man, and when we started in the semester, Ryan, remember that? We were like, whoa, where's this going to go? And these guys just all improved, all 10 of them. It was a crazy thing. But it was capped off by John Friend coming in and sitting with them live on WJOB and live on Facebook. And so education of broadcasting has gone into the next level. I've been kind of prompting them in the broadcasting education communication department, say, hey, you know what? The future is streaming and doing now video and now radio and now audio. And that's, if you want me to teach sports broadcasting, I'm going to teach them live because that's where it's at. I'm not going to put them in a booth and make them, edit up some nice, slick, produced piece. No, we're going to do it live. They did Purdue Northwest games. They helped out, and everybody went through the sectionals and got a bunch of credit that way. And they all went out to the various sites. It's live and now. But anyways, congratulations to all those folks. Anyways, let's talk to Kenny, see how Kenny's doing. What are you doing today, man?
Hey, Jimmy, looking at the sun.
Isn't it beautiful?
East on Ridge Road here, going out to the goat house. And, beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful day. Yeah, the gloves are off, Jim. They're done. Put them away. You don't need them no more.
And you know what? Let's just talk about this. I basically fought around California. And I can't remember where or how many times. And now that I look back on it, part of it is just getting spanked in the head so many times. You're not paying
It's a great
attention to a
feeling.
lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
Forget a lot of stuff, Jim.
Yep.
It's funny. You can remember stuff when you were a kid, but boy, you don't know what you had for dinner last night. That's my case, you know.
You know, Kenny,
But,
let me ask you, were you able to take a punch pretty well?
I took a real good punch, but I tell you what, Jim, didn't like to take a punch, you know. So defense was very, very important. I mean, and that's the thing. Like people always ask, you know, how would you do? I says, well, like just say right now, 58 years old. I'm not bragging, Jim, but you couldn't, not you, but you couldn't hit me. I got in a street. It's been a long time since I had a street fight. You couldn't, you know, if you got any kind of defensive boxing skills, or, you know, I guess you get called as MMA crap and stuff, which I don't really get into, but, you know, it's you don't get hit. You know, I mean, an average guy can't hit you. I mean, really can't hit you. You know, so no, nobody likes to get hit, man. I mean, nobody. I mean, look at Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather had the best, probably one of the best defenses in the, you know, in the business. You know, but
they don't realize that's his real strength is his defense.
Oh yeah, hit and not get hit, man. That's the key. You know. But hey, on another note, Jim, Vinny called our buddy Vinny, and his wife Sandy is not doing very well at all. She's in intensive care in St. Joseph, hospital, and on the north side there by Lincoln Park. And he just wanted me to tell you, you know, anybody got any prayers, man? Sandy could use them right now, and I know you're very, you know, your prayers work, man. I'll tell you. You know, so if anybody is still laying in bed, well, you don't have to. You could pray anywhere, I guess. But yeah, he wanted me to tell you that, Jim. So
hey, listen, yeah, Sandy has been having challenges for a long time, and she's in intensive care right now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandy is is Vinny's sun and moon and earth and stars.
Just like what we got, Jim. You know, I've been with my wife going on 41 years now, and I don't know what the heck I would do. You know, well, let's not even, you know.
Why would you hypothesize what you would be like without your wife? Because I don't want to see it.
First of all, I don't know what hypothesize is. But yeah, you said something earlier, Jim. You said something I was going to say. Jim, can you spell that word? I don't know what it was. You know, some kind of slang, you know.
What the East Side?
No, well, East Side, but you're Hammond, you know. You said something this morning about. I was like, wow, I wonder how you spell that word.
All right, man. Well, hey,
in the dictionary,
hey, let's just do this. Let's just tell everybody it's only 31 degrees out, but it is quite possibly the most beautiful sunrise of the year right now.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's in my eyes right now, man. It's beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful day, and get out there and do stuff, and
think of it, and say a prayer for Sandy.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. She could use it, man.
All right, man. Good talking.
Pray for everybody. God, like Tony says, God loves everybody, man. That's a good thing.
All right. Good talking.
Have a good day, man.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
There's the East Side. I don't know what hypothesize means, but what? For some reason, it's the East Side guys and Hegwish guys, and for some reason over the years, I've become good friends with a number of them. Ray Albor out of Griffith, BP guy that's retired twice. I'm not going to another Ray Albor retirement party, by the way. And he and his brothers, they just kind of epitomized the East Side. And then I was talking to Jimmy Pillarella the other day and Kenny and Gotti. And if anybody knows all three of those people, they're all the same person. The East Side creates the same kind of guy. And the same kind of woman, by the way, also. She's wearing a Hawks jersey right now. Anyways, let's talk about some of the stuff going on. Hey, last night at, say, I don't know, 10:30 or so, I checked PNW's rolling. It was the day of giving, and we heard from Regina Biddings yesterday. Oh, wait, Murrow, Regina Murrow, Biddings Murrow, right? Biddings Moro. She is married to Mundo Moro, and Regina was saying that we were looking to get to $1 million here locally on the number, and let me see what they came up with. It was over $1 million when I went to bed. It is at $1,058,000, and let's give everybody a round of applause who donated yesterday for. I think that extra 58,000 was from Ryan Walsh's call of the catch by Mike Mikulich in a game against University of Indianapolis, in which that appeared on SportsCenter, and it came on the day, the day before Purdue Northwest Day of Giving. The only thing that I'm a little bit taken aback is that for the press box. I hope so. Take $1 million of that, or take about a couple $100,000 of that, and build us a press box, will you? And quite frankly, you don't have to build it on the baseball, because I don't do the baseball games. I do the softball games. So just a little bit of a shed there would help, and a heater would help. And but anyways, the College of Engineering and Sciences got $413,000 yesterday from the PNW Day of Giving. And there was only one minor disappointment in that athletics only got $8,000. And that's got to change over the years, because there's a lot of people that have come through the athletics program there and are athletics fans that give big money to Purdue downstate, their athletic programs. And I know about a half dozen of them, just coming thinking of off the top of my head. All you got to do is slice a little bit of that off and give it to PNW Athletics, and we're going to change that in the next couple of years. We're going to, Purdue downstate, they can get their, their money just like, third world companies. They've colonized us up here. But in the end, we would really like to build into Division II basketball powerhouses and into Division II baseball and softball powerhouses, and all the sports. There's 13 of them, and that costs money. You need facilities, you need coaches, you need operating expenses, you need market yourself, you need all that stuff. And it'd be nice to get more than $8,000 for athletics. I'm personally going to get involved in that next year to make sure that that number is higher. Okay, it needs to be way higher. But anyways, 413,000 to engineering, and rightfully so. There's a lot of big engineering alum that have come out of Purdue Northwest that have gone on to make a ton of money. And the engineering and sciences, I guess they would consider construction tech in that. My uncle, Dennis Brown, went here in the 70s, and one of many uncles, Ronnie Rex, another one who Rex Construction, you see that running around. They went there, and they went on to make a lot of money. And Dennis, my uncle, died at the age of 60. He went out, he came out of Purdue Northwest, and he worked here locally for some construction companies. Got to be somebody who worked for him at either Deedlow Inc., or then he worked for a couple of others. He may have worked for Calumet Construction for a little while. And then he went, and I think it was Perini he went to work for, and he was the head guy to build the Pontiac Silverdome. He built the Tennessee Titans football stadium, and he built the second largest prison in America. I mean, and that was all out of coming out of Purdue Northwest, and he credited the education he got here as pushing him along. Now, as an addendum to that story, he and my mom and my uncle Carl Brown, who lived in St. John forever, one of the first guys to kind of move out of Hammond, D.C. and build his own home down there in one of the subdivisions in the mid-'70s, early 70s. And so he wasn't really a Frogsville, Roxana guy after a certain area, after he got to be an adult. Sorry, I had to sneeze. And he died of a similar cancer that my other uncle, and my mom died at like 47, I think. Uncle Charlie, they called him Carl or Charlie, he was about late 50s. I think Dennis got it in his late 50s. He may have made it to 60. And they all grew up. And my Aunt Seal, I could go down the line of all these people that lived in the Frogsville section of Hammond, or as my uncles and my mom, they lived in the Calumet section over here, right where the, where they're ripping out all that dirt. They lived there for a portion of their childhood between Frogsville, which is right next to Roxana here. It's on the Hammond side of Roxana, basically. And then they lived in Calumet for a long time. So when I look at it, and they died of these environmental cancers, when I look at that, I try to figure out, now, do you think that was out of Frogsville, or do you think it was out of Calumet? And I know that a couple of you have asked me, like, why don't you cover this national story of the lead and the arsenic and all of the illness that has come out of the Calumet section of East Chicago? And I'm just, I'm just honest with it. I'm just a person. I honestly don't want to. I don't want to cover that story. I want other people to cover it, and I'll cover their coverage. But I'm not going to go in there and learn all about this. It just scrapes up old wounds. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that growing up in two of the most heavily polluted places you could grow up caused the deaths of my two uncles and my mom. And I'm like, all right, people are, oh, why don't you cover Calumet and all the lead and arsenic? It's a Pulitzer waiting to happen. I'm like, I ain't doing that. It's just like doing the indictments and stuff. I don't want to do it. I don't have to. If you guys want to call in and talk about it, we can. That's on you. Take some responsibility. If you got something you want, then call in and we'll talk about it. But I'm not going over there, man. I'm not. Anyways, let's talk about other stuff. I don't know how we got into that. Hey, had a roundup of some people. Let's see what Bill's saying. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Hey, Jim, I enjoy your show tremendously. It makes the drive into work really nice. But I've got a question we were talking about at work, and I found it kind of weird, but you'll give me a straight-up answer of, I seen a political sign for a candidate. His name is Pete Kadick. Is that the old Hammond City judge?
It is.
And is it the same guy that drove down the wrong way on the expressway?
You know what? I don't remember that. It could have happened, but I don't know. It is Pete Kadick, I think, has run for this board a few times. Pete's a well-known guy in the region. And there's basically, I think, 4, maybe 5 major candidates for that. You've got Novak and Matanovich that are there now. And then you've got John Salzider, a local attorney, and we've had him on a number of times. And then you have Pete Kadick. And I think those 4 are going for 3 spots. And there's one other person out of East Chicago that I think is getting some energy, but maybe a 5 or a 4-person race, and Kadick's one of them.
Okay. I thank you very much for the straight-up answer. But we were just talking about it at work, and we just wanted to know for sure because he's been around for a long time. I think he was almost 20, 25 years since he's been the judge, hasn't he?
I think that Kadick has had like 9, several lives politically. I think he was like one of the youngest ever elected to the state house. And then he was a judge in Hammond, and my wife used to work for him in Hammond. And then I think, I think he ran into some trouble, and that was well publicized. And now he's trying to, have another comeback. So, he's been around a while.
Everybody deserves that second chance, but we were talking at work, and it's like everybody was disagreeing, saying, no, that can't be the same Kadick because you wouldn't be able to run for a political office. But I appreciate what you've done for me. Now I can go back to work and collect all the free coffees.
You got it, man. Thanks a lot, Bill. Have a good day at work. There you go. I don't really talk about that race if there's a race you guys want to talk about, that's on you guys. Remember, if you're going to listen to the show or watch me, that there's a personal responsibility. I had Deb call in the other day, and she's like, "Oh, media this. There's no follow up on." So I said, "Well, if you want to talk about it, call in, and we'll talk about it." You know what I mean? That's what we'll do. And if you want to post on something on Facebook or whatever, there's plenty of ways, but there's also plenty of ways to get information out that's out there. And there's a personal responsibility on you guys. But what I think about these elections coming up here is there's kind of two main ones, and then there's a few others that are also reasonably contentious. The number one is the sheriff's race here locally in Lake County. And I was telling the joke, and it didn't make any friends. All right, 3 Mexicans, 3 blacks, and a white guy walk into a bar. What is it? It's the sheriff's race. And so on let's take the Mexican side or the Hispanic side, and you've got Maria Trajkovic, I guess is Hispanic. Then you have the existing sheriff is Oscar Martinez out of Hammond here, and he is being challenged by Dominguez. And it just kind of goes to show you guys. And I said, I make these generalities about ethnic groups and about races, and I can kind of do that. You can't do that. I can do it because I'm the radio guy here, and I think my body of work shows that I really don't care enough about things to get all ruffled up. But I will make I've made the joke about you go to a Hispanic gathering, and me and my brother-in-law's coming into town, Brad Nineheis. I remember Helix Hydraulics in Crown Point, that family. He's a Dutch guy, and I'm a quarter Dutch, and we both married these, hot-looking Hispanic girls, and so we see each other all the time, and I just don't see them enough. And we always make the joke as we're walking into a large family gathering. It's like, all right, Brad, who aren't we talking to now? And he's, all right, Jim, who aren't we talking to? Because you get all these rivulets of Hispanics, mostly Mexicans, and a little bit of the Puerto Rican in there. And they somebody said something bad about one relative, and so a whole side of a family is all mad at them, or they didn't show up for a baptism or something. And then these what do they call those little soap operas, papelitos, get going, and you don't know who you're not talking to and who you're with. But the Betty Dominguez thing versus Oscar Martinez thing has papelito written all over it. Is that how you say that, Mexican soap opera? What is it? How do you say it? Novela. What's a papelito? I don't know. A novela. It's got novela written all over it. And then you got like the former sheriff. You've got Roy Dominguez, and somehow his wife is running. And then on some of the signs, it just says Dominguez for sheriff. And I don't even know if Betty's name is on there, or it's very little. And then you've got Oscar Martinez, who's been running for this office forever. He finally gets in. And it's possible, if he loses, you'll be able to look back. He's probably the front runner right now. He's in the office. He's got a pretty good reputation. So does Roy Dominguez, but we don't really know that much about Betty, but it's got novela written all over it. All right, and then let's go to the white side, because it is tribal politics in Lake County. Then in the middle, you got Dave Dowling. I don't know if anybody's really, he's got a lot of South County support. So maybe right now the front runners are Martinez versus Dowling, but I'll tell you what, Mike Brown's in it. Now, he's got a really good following, and I saw that he got the endorsement of Karen Freeman Wilson. So if you really think about it, it's kind of breaking down tribally or racially or whatever, as Walt used to say, and it's pretty interesting. But you got to throw in the recent history here. And that, I don't know about you guys, for some reason, I don't have a lot of interest in that race. And part of it is just having just a really bad feeling about the John Bunsich and now Tim Downs and now Danny Merchek whole thing going down. that whole office is like, man, I mean, why is it such a political office? I mean, if you really think about it, Buncich is in jail for 15 years because he's out there raising money to get elected in a weird way or in an underhanded way. And same thing with Murchak in trouble. And Tim Downs was part of all that. I mean, why is that? Why do they? I mean, when you elect the mayor of Hammond, do you elect the police chief also? No, he's the man. Why is it? Why is that elected? You know, I mean, it's so I don't know. I guess I just don't have a real good feeling about the whole thing. And that's probably why you see all these billboards up and down Indianapolis Boulevard of all these people running for office. And then there's a few that are making use of it and trying to reach you. But, you know, I've probably not said too many nice things about the whole race. And, you know, that's just how it is. I could do that. Every once in a while, you just got to pull this card. You got to say, hey, listen, we own our radio station, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. And if you don't like it, there's a word that I would use at Johnny's Tap if I was talking to Kuziak and Selzider and all these other guys that I kind of hang out with, but I won't use it on the air. I'll just talk to Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you? What's your life like today?
It's great. I promised you I'd call back in. We did go to the Film Museum, and it was great. Everybody should go back, even seniors like my husband and I. You should go there because it's a blast, especially if you're not taking kids around, because you really actually have time to look at the displays and really read about them. And if you haven't been to the Hall of Birds in many, many years, try to go there because it's great. I never realized just how many wonderful things and what birds are actually doing for our environment and how great they are, and actually how much humans have learned from birds over the years. I just see the things that they do and know that human beings have copied them in their social behavior, and it was just an eye-opener, and it was so great, and they do such a good job there of, you know, trying to present nature and sociability along with it, and it was just great.
All right, there's two things I got out of that. First of all, what do you got against kids?
Nothing. I love kids, but when you have children in a place like that, they're not necessarily in. They look at the birds and they go, okay, they're great. Let's move on to the. They've got different things that they're more excited about. They're not necessarily excited about reading all the plaques and thinking deeply about birds and sitting in front of the glass displays and looking at it and saying, finding the connection between humans and birds. And they just, they're busy. They want to move. They want to, okay, let's move on to the next one. And we mainly concentrated on things that we really wanted to take our time with. And with children, especially small children, you can't do that. They're not there yet.
All right, so let me ask you this. What is it? All right, I got one thing, and I'll tell you mine. What is it we can learn from birds? And birds wake up in the morning, and they start singing. So I want to tell you guys that when I go out on Indianapolis Boulevard at 5:30 and I start singing, I've learned that from birds.
Right.
Your turn.
Well, birds teach you a lot of things. When you look at them, well, as a matter of fact, American Indians learned how to eat from birds because they were able to see which species of plant was poison, which wasn't, because the birds would only eat things that weren't poison. They learned what they could, extra things they could eat when they were starving to death. Birds can teach you that if you're patient enough to watch them and have the opportunity. They also, I believe, might have taught how to sew. They're birds that sew nests together with their bills. They take these long, huge leaves. Now, you have to understand this is in certain areas. And they take the leaf and they use their beak as a needle, and they sew the leaves together they will go and strip parts of a plant to make a piece of thread. Okay, all
right, Mary. Ryan's telling me I got plenty of spots I got to play, but will you call me back? I'm going to think of another thing that we could learn from birds, and then maybe you call me again tomorrow or the next day, and you come up with one too, because I got one in my head, and I think it's kind of.
They teach about the mating rituals. Unbelievable.
Okay, mating rituals. You do mating rituals, because if I do it, it'll just turn into like 8th grade innuendos. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one to you. Okay, let's talk tomorrow.
All right, I'll try, Jed, but you know how it goes. People are just like you. When you get off of your station, you've got things to do.
All right.
So I will when I can.
All right, thanks a lot, Mary. Talk to you.
All righty.
All right, I can take one more. Ryan's going nuts over there. You got all these spots to play. I'm there. But, Bill, you're it. What's going on in Lowell?
Good morning, Jim. Heavy frost this morning, but
Isn't it?
actually I'm on the west side of Wolf Lake in Illinois heading into work. Just want to touch base with you real quick. You remember a while back, I don't want to keep you long, I told you, Jim, I'd love to take you for a ride in my semi-truck and let you see how many people text, drive, and swerve all over the road, right?
Yep.
Well, in an Ohio shop, one of our drivers lost his brother last week to a 19-year-old girl texting and driving across 4 lanes of traffic texting. They pulled out her phone and her records, and sure as heck, texting and driving and Snapchatting all at the same time. Guy just retired driving a motorcycle head-on collision.
Oh.
And it's such a sad thing. And driving in and listening to you in the morning, you would not believe what I see going up Indianapolis Boulevard. And I just happened to see a thing on the news last night on Fox where they're saying the National Traffic Safety Board is now saying 10 people a day die from collisions for texting and driving. Our Congress is fighting each other over he said, she said. Congress wants to do something good for us. Make the fines so high that people cannot afford it and they won't text and drive. You start hitting people with $5,000 fines. It's going to put an end to this.
All right. What can we do locally? Okay. Let's say we had a campaign here locally, and we said, all right, what if all the police departments started really writing tickets for these? And then we brought the tickets in, and then we talked about each person who was texting and driving and put their name out on the radio and put them out on Facebook Live. You think that might help too?
Jim, at this point, buddy, anything's going to help.
Hey, Bill, I got to move tomorrow. I want to talk about texting and driving because I noticed the same thing you're talking about. You know the other thing I've been noticing lately? Hey, would it kill you to use a turn signal? You know what I mean? All right.
That's true, too.
I'll talk to you, man. All right, I'll be right back. AM 1230 WJOB. The former managing editor of the Times is here. He's got a real job now, and he's going to sit, and we're going to talk about that.
John Salzader, candidate for North Township Advisory Board. I am fully qualified, experienced, and will bring a new face and new vision to your township government. Elect John Salzader, SALZEIDER, on May 8th. Democrat.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzider.
Everything Italian. That's what you get at Giuseppe's Restaurant in Cherville.
Hi, this is Joe from Giuseppe's Everything Italian. Here today to let our friends and listeners to WJOB know about the few things that we have added. We offer catering now, catering for your party, family event, or even for businesses. Just give us a call at Giuseppe's at 322-0011 and ask for Joe. Thank you.
Giuseppe's Everything Italian is located at 1000 Eagle Ridge Drive in Cherville, just north of the Showplace Theaters, 219-322-0011. Or visit Giuseppe'sPizza.net.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every facet of government. Make your vote count with Andrew Silvestrowitz for Clerk of Circuit Courts. Paid for by committee to elect Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz.
I am Andrew Silvestrowitz, and I approve this message.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
Michael Whalen, 1985 graduate of Bishop Noel Institute. You are listening to WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana. Not today.
Why is Waylon whispering in that? Anybody know? Or, I'm going to pull the card where I can do this because I'm me, but I'm going to finish chewing as I do the traffic. Do you guys like that? All right, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west. That's looking pretty good also. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, and then I'm going to do Uncle Frank, okay? Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan are moving along pretty well. And, Bishop Ford's got a little bit of a tight spot at the merge, but you've had worse. And Skyway Toll Road, you know what? It's a nice day to be driving. It's just beautiful out. Construction hasn't started. Cold, so you don't have a lot of pedestrians out. And just go ahead and take a drive today. I'm thinking of riding my bike today. Why not? It is my final quiz tonight in marketing 620 at graduate level, and I'm a little bit nervous. So if you guys could refrain from calling me or texting me about anything until my finals are over on Monday, I'd appreciate it. I'm giving finals and I'm taking finals, and just don't bug me about anything minor, will you please? The only thing I'm doing this weekend is I'm going to the Bishop Knoll big event because that's like the best party in the region. Hey, taking a look at what the weather is right now, it is 31 degrees in the Calumet at the Strachan Van Til Studios. Jeff Strack's coming in today, isn't he? Wonder what kind of socks he's going to be wearing. Anyways, it's 31 degrees here, going up to a high of 63. That means it's going to get warm in a hurry. All you parents that make your kids wear the winter coat to school are going to lose your credibility big time when they come out and they take it and they tie it around their waist after school. But it'll be nice out later. And then tonight it gets down to 42, cool and crisp and clear. Tomorrow, shower late in the afternoon, but for a good portion of the day, we have some sunshine tomorrow, high in the 50s. And then you go into the weekend, it's all over the place. You get a really cold Saturday, a high in the mid-40s, and then Sunday comes up around 60 degrees. Weather brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41. For a long time, you could pick up this newspaper, and you would go on the inside of it, and what's it say right now? It says publisher is Chris White, local news editor is Mark Chase, and then general manager and vice president of sales is quite frankly, the Times has some really good rising stars. Mark Chase is really a good newspaper guy, and but Joey Battistoni, for if you want to have like sit at a bar and just tell stories with a guy for about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. He's in the top 10. You know who else is pretty good just sitting there talking, telling stories? And you guys might have your opinions, good or bad, about him, is Randy Palmatier. Let me put a couple other guys that are just, you know what? You know who the number one person is to just sit at a bar and talk stories with? He's on here all the time. That's Dave Kuziak. Hands down the best to sit and listen to and talk with. Bill Baker's right up there. But Joey Battistoni with the Times does a really good job. I don't know any of these other people, but at the top three, well, at one time, in the top three there was a guy sitting at the end of the table right now, and that's Paul Mullaney. How you doing, Mr. Mullaney?
Jim, I'm doing well. Thanks for it's a sunny day. You talked about the sunrise, and it's a beautiful day, and I'm doing okay.
There's a reason he was in newspapers and not radio. Can you tell right now? How you doing, man? Are you glad you're out of newspapers?
There are definitely days I miss it, but it's I got so much going on right now, and with over at Bishop Knoll that I'm very happy with what I'm doing, and it's a good thing.
Paul left newspapers and took the job as president of Bishop Knoll and has been there. And, Paul, I was talking to, I'm going to do this just because he's old and he's asked me to do this for years. And he's a friend of mine now, John Friend. And I were in here. He came in and sat with my broadcasting students last night. And like I said, I'm always in awe of the man. They were in awe. They got off and they're like, oh, my God, thank you so much. It felt like I met somebody, the classiest guy ever in the region. I'm like, you did, maybe. But we were talking about, for somehow Bishop, Jimmy Mullen, your son was here. And, talking to Coach Friend. And we started talking about you and what you've done at Bishop Knoll, and he basically echoed the sentiment that I hear around the region, and I would tell you otherwise. You know that. I'm not just going to blow smoke because there's no reason to. What you've done at Bishop Knoll is miraculous. You've really done a great job in people thinking of Bishop Knoll as, they come up with really positive thoughts when they think of Bishop Knoll. That has a lot to do with you, and I know you're going to deflect to your board and Mike Whalen and your principal and all that stuff. But just personally, I got to thank you for doing the work that you've done over there. Partly because my wife went there, and I've always been a big fan. But there you go. I just said it.
Thank you for the kind words, and you're right. I mean, we have a great team in place. We get great support from our board, a very engaged board. Mike Whalen is our chairman, and we have about a dozen really engaged and caring people and professionals who keep us on task. And I think calling it miraculous is a little bit of a stretch.
Come on, listen. You're in an urban environment in an era when Catholic education is extremely challenged, and you guys have been able to maintain a thriving school that is on the move. That's miraculous in these days. I've been talking to the guys over here trying to save SFDS, St. Francis de Sales. I traded with one of the guys over there. They look to you guys as the model.
Well, there's no doubt that in North Lake County we are a bedrock of Catholic education and secondary education. We're a beacon for families who want the best for their kids. It's we've been doing this for 97 years. I haven't been there that long, but we a lot of great people have come through those doors over the years, and some of the success stories are amazing. I mean,
Dave Kuziak.
Dave's a great guy.
Dave Kuziak, just a true hero in the community.
And Dave is kind of prototypical of a successful Bishop Knoll graduate. I mean, he's.
I was saying that sarcastically.
Well, I'm just saying, Dave has been great to Knoll, and but he's involved in his community. We've got. We had a group of potential students coming in for an event not too long ago, and I was going through some of the great names that have gone through Bishop Knoll over the years. Whether you start with Frank Reynolds or right down the list to whomever, and just the impact that people have made. I mean, you got the last, the last person to check off on the first space shuttle launch at the engine is a Knoll grad. You've got somebody serving on the Pontifical Academy for Life, advising Pope Francis and Pope Benedict before him on bioethical issues. You've got, and you got students from recent years making big inroads early in their careers already.
You got a federal judge that may wind up on the Supreme Court one day.
Well,
he's at least got a lot of attention for standing up for what he believes in. He left here and went to San Diego.
Yes.
He's probably one of the most notable ones right now.
He was our commencement speaker last year, almost a year ago.
Judge Curiel,
Judge Gonzalo Curiel, he was a first-generation college student at Indiana University and done great things. And he's just a by-the-book guy, and he's committed to the law. He's true to the law, and that's what he does.
I got to talk to him, and I was entirely inspired by what he had to say, but it was in an off-the-record situation, so I can't relate any of the stories. But I will relate one. I was a little bit taken aback. He moved to San Diego, and we were talking about the Bears and how he misses that and some of the stuff that he misses around here. And then it came out that it had snowed the night before, and there was snow on his car, and he waited for his brother to go out and clean his car off. So I thought that was a little non-region of him, and I hope he's not getting a little, he's not losing that regionness. But Judge Curiel is another bishop. He talks very highly of Bishop Knoll. We're talking to Paul Mullaney, and ultimately we're here to promo something that's going on Friday night. What is it?
Well, it's a big event for us, and it's called The Big Event. It used to be known as the Emporium years ago, and we gave it a little bit of a facelift 3 or 4 years ago to make it a little bit more casual, a little bit lower price point. But what it is it's our largest single day fundraiser that we have every year, and it's specifically for our student scholarships, and it's held in our field house from 6 to 11, and it's an adults-only event. We bring in food. There's beer and wine. We have, and it's a fun, enjoyable, casual night, casual apparel, and it's open to the public. It's $60 for admission, and then there are a series of there's live auction, there's various raffles, there's all kinds of things which I can get into, but it's a fundraiser where we'll hope to have we hope to have about 250 people or so on hand, and maybe a little more, who knows, and it raises, we hope to make $50,000 or $60,000 for scholarships for our students who attend Bishop Knoll.
So you got live auction and raffles. You got any food, any booze, anything like that, or refreshments?
Pepino's is catering. They're coming in with the food, and don't get there too late because there's a point in which the food we're done serving probably after 9 or so, and there's of course plenty of soft drinks, beer and wine. We have many of our alumni and generous stakeholders have helped contribute to provide some of that. We've got the live auction is always a hit. Rick Shepard and his wife come in every year. They're well-known local auctioneers. They do a great job. We'll have probably about a dozen live auction items, starting with the Fieldhouse naming rights. Currently, it's the Swentko Memorial Fieldhouse. Waldine Swentko, who was one of our board members actually last year, bid on that. And so every year we do that. So the highest bidder gets to have their name on the Fieldhouse for a year.
It's been the Kuziak Fieldhouse.
It has.
It's been the Wayland Fieldhouse.
It has. And so and
let me just make this straight before you guys say anything. It's never, ever going to be the Deedlow Fieldhouse. Unless like my nephew Alex Deedlow, who went there, or any of my other cousins, because I went to Munster, dude. It's just never going to be the Deedlow Fieldhouse.
Maybe it could be the Vasquez Deedlow Fieldhouse.
Well, that's a different story, but it's never going to be. Go ahead.
You never know. If you're a Cubs fan, you remember Big Jim Karchevsky, the photographer who passed away?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, before he passed, he had donated to us a panoramic photo that he had taken of the Chicago skyline during the Cubs' magical run in 2016, and the skyline's all lit up with the Cubs logos on the buildings and all that stuff, and so that's going to be one of the live auction items. That's pretty cool. If you're a sports junkie, we have a sports junkie big score package, tickets for White Sox, Yankees, Cubs. I forget who they're playing in that game later this summer. Notre Dame, Stanford, Notre Dame hockey. They're played in the national championship game too. 4 tickets and food up in the suites up there, and there may be a couple other things. I don't know. It's like $1,500, $1,600 value. So that'll be one of the live auction items. There's a week in Sanibel Island in Florida, a condo donated by one of our alums. There's a golf package for local golf courses. There's a restaurant package for local restaurants. These are the kinds of things that in the live auction will be highlighted. There also will be a wine pull. There'll be raffle for a liquor wagon. There will be many Your Choice raffles. We'll have a number of tables set up where there are different prizes, baskets, other gifts, photography, more sports tickets that you buy your raffle tickets and you put them in the bag, and those will be raffled off.
So it's $60. How does somebody get tickets?
Well, you actually can go to the door that night. It starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, April 27th, and you can also contact the school in advance and talk to Julie Sandoval. Julie she coordinates most of our events at Bishop Knoll for fundraising events and other special events. She is in our development office. You can reach her at Bishop Knoll 219-932-9058. She is at extension 1005. You can get them from her at the school, or you can talk to her and get them at the door.
So basically, a lot of this is kind of a directed moment here to anybody that went to Bishop Knoll. You should be out at the big event. We'll be out there. Alexis and I'll just be out there, and Kuziaks will be out there. Wayland's will be out there. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. I'm glad that you guys kind of made it go a little bit more casual. In the past, it was a real dress-up event, and I don't like that. But I tell you this, you can go there in a sport coat or even a sweater, and it's in the gymnasium. They really do it up nice. It's a really good party. And once in a while, we'll go over to Wally's afterwards and kind of continue on the merriment. But it's anybody that went to Bishop Knoll or is part of the Bishop Knoll family, you should be at this thing. I'm surprised sometimes I go to this and I'm like, and I see some of these BNI grads, and I'm like, dude, why weren't you there? Why weren't you there? And, oh, well, you know, no, you got to make it a priority. It's tomorrow night, and it starts at 6 o'clock. Paul Mulaney's the president of Bishop Knoll. You can also see Paul on his show that he does here called PNW Today. And how's that called? Knoll Today. I'm sorry. I'm doing PNW Today. You know what? Early in the week, I was pounding you guys, anybody who went to Purdue Northwest, to make sure that you donated to the Purdue Day of Giving. Here near the end of the week, I'm pounding on all the BNI grads that you guys need to be part of the big event. And even if we get an extra 10 sales here near the end here, come on out. I'm sorry. You won't be disappointed.
And if I may, Jim, just to throw in there that you know, we will have a wide range of our alumni who are there. The people I know who are coming range from the class of 2014 more recently to Monsignor Samancic, class of 1945, and so there'll be, you know, if it's for young and old, it's for everybody. And if you can't make it, if you're one alum and you want to give to our scholarship fund, you can still do so. You can go online to our giving tab on our website, and you can give it to the scholarship fund. It goes to the same pot, or you can, you know, contact us, and feel free to contact Julie, contact myself at the school, and we'll, you know, a lot of our alums have been the beneficiary of receiving scholarships when they attended Bishop Knoll, and, you know, we ask them to consider, you know, paying it forward a little bit if they could, you know, help make that reality possible, so somebody here in this region right now can have the same benefit that they had to get a Knoll education.
There it is. Paul Mulaney. We'll see you guys out there tomorrow night. And Paul, of course, is the father of Jimmy Mulaney, who works here and is normally the producer. But since his dad was going to be on this morning, he didn't want to be here. So he's taking a morning off. And Christina Cortez is spinning the dials over here. And I always make fun of Jimmy. And he's like, what are you doing now? He's, well, I'm going to go home. Like last night. He's like, what are you doing? We were both here till like 8:30 last night. What do you do now? I'm going to go home. They go, hey, Jimmy, what's it like when you come out? You go out on a Friday night and you come home and your dad's sitting in the living room in his underwear, picking his toes, watching TV. He goes, it's time to move out and get my own place.
That's an image I don't even want to think of.
We have fun with him and his living arrangements with you. I mean, he walked across the yard basically to go to Purdue Northwest. You know, he went to Bishop Knoll. At some point, he'll move out. I'm guessing when he's like 26,
There'll be a point. There'll be a point. He'll be ready.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have some fun. Julie Sandoval's doing a great job running this thing. Next week, I'll be pounding all Hammond High graduates, as I will have Larry Moore Jr. and Jermaine Boyette in here. And it'll be a little special project they're trying to raise some money for. So, I mean, that's what local radios... you guys responded yesterday to Purdue. All you Bishop Knoll people, you should feel guilty tomorrow if you're not there at 6 o'clock or shortly thereafter. It's a lot of fun. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you, Jim. Have a good day.
All right, guys. Hey, Jeff Strack's going to join me for a little while, and we're just going to sit around and talk. Be back.
Come visit the Purdue Northwest Chess Gallery, where we host weekly events and monthly exhibits year-round. We are located right next to Frida's Cafe at 6725 Kennedy Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Visit our website at chessgallery.wixsite.com/website for more details.
My name is Ernie Dillon.
My name is Joe. My name is Bill Emerson Sr.
We are veterans supporting our fellow veteran, Rich Novak, for North Township Board.
Rich is experienced, dedicated, hardworking, and professional.
Remember, vote on Tuesday, May 8th.
Approved and paid for by the Committee to Elect a Vet, Richard J. Novak.
Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr., the Hammond Parks Department, and PepsiCo are proud to announce the 14th annual Cinco de Mayo celebration to be held on Saturday, May 5th at the Hammond Civic Center from 5 to 10 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for $15 each, which includes food and live entertainment. Cash bar will be available. Mexican cuisine provided by El Gran Taco Mexican Grill, and the entertainment provided by Mariachi All-Stars, Ballet Folklorico, Fiesta Mexicana, and the band Together. For tickets, tickets, visit the Hammond Civic Center Monday through Friday or call 853-6378. For more information, visit gohammond.com.
Jedi's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, Jedi's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and steak sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at Jedi's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
I'm Peter Kadick for North Township Board. Vote for strong experience. Endorsed by Mayor McDermott, the Northwest Indiana Building Trades Council, and unions, and numerous precinct organizations. The best is yet to come. Paid for by Kadick for North Township Board Committee.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org. What are you going to do when you grow up? Me, I'm going to talk on the radio live from the Strachan Van Til Studios here on the campus of Purdue Northwest. I'm Jim Deedlow, host of JED in the region. And let's keep it moving. Just like the traffic today, moving along pretty well. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks okay. Got a little tight spot in downtown Joliet going westbound. I'll tell you what, the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan are a little bit lighter than normal. And so is the Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. All in all, it's a beautiful day. We've had to, this is a good problem to have here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. When it gets really bright out, we have trouble. The lights shift and so forth, and we have to continually update where they're at. And I'll do that every day. As a matter of fact, I told you guys I had to fight with Superior Engineering and with Purdue Northwest to get the studio right here in these in this corner, and that was one of the things that they kept talking about was like, light's going to shift on you all the time, and I'm like, I don't care. The sun's up, and we got to change our lights every 20 minutes. I really don't care, the Lost Marsh lighting system, because it's gorgeous out right now, and when the sun comes out around here, it's usually at this time of year when the sun's coming up so early, it's accompanied with some warmth. You don't have that this morning. Right now, still at the studios here, it is 32 degrees here, and it is 32 degrees also at Ironworkers Local 395. We had Ronnie Ware on yesterday. Hard Hat outing coming up on May 5th. Don't forget about that. And then here at Local 599, it's 33 degrees right on the state line here in Hammond. High of 63, though, so it's going to go up about, I think the low I had when I started the show was around 30 degrees. It's going to go up 33 degrees in just a few hours. That'll be a beautiful thing this afternoon. Partly sunny. You get some moving clouds across, but for the most part, a great day. Tomorrow, great morning. Cold in the 30s again, but it'll be sunny. And then later in the day tomorrow, you get some rain. And then Saturday, just a mostly sunny, very brutally cold day for this type of year. Your normal high is 61 or 62. You should have a high of about 45. And it could get down into the 20s overnight on Friday. And then as you go into Sunday, plenty of sunshine and a high of 58. And weather is brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. If you need electrical work done, have it done by a union-based electrical contractor. And in terms of the, once again, I want to thank John Friend for coming in last night with my Purdue Broadcasting students. We finished up our semester yesterday. The different groups had 2-hour shows. We had one on Monday, we had one on Wednesday, and Coach came in and sat with them for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you'll be able to see that if you just go to the WJOB Facebook page. Jeff Strack, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Glad to come back and visit with you.
Hey, just kind of hanging out. I mean, how's it feel to walk into you walk into all these stores. How many stores? 20?
20 stores.
20 stores, and every time you walk in, there's your name up on the marquee, Strack and Van Til.
I guess I never really think about that. I'm just focused on other things, and You know, it's I guess it's kind of cool, but
it's a responsibility.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's the biggest thing. I've had some people ask me, you know, how's your stress level the last year? You know, and obviously moving forward, I don't feel a lot of stress, but I do feel a responsibility, you know, whether it's to our investors or more importantly to the people that work for us. I mean, that's kind of as time goes on, I start to kind of realize what we went through means to all of our associates and managers of our organization. And it's a responsibility to keep it going and not be put back in that position.
Well, when you walk in here, too, your name's right on the wall. Right over your head is your name, Strachan Van Til. And that means something to the business. And just so anybody that might be catching this that doesn't know what Jeff's talking about, Strachan Van Til had gone into a bankruptcy proceeding, but they weren't really owned by the old owners of it, and basically the Strachan Van Til families came back together and bought it back from Central Grocers, and ultimately that's going to be a business case study that people are going to study in business classes for a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of different components to that probably could be analyzed and discussed, and you know, whether it was, you know, the things leading up to it, the business and what went right, went wrong, the time period going from when the difficulty started, the period of time going through the preeminent bankruptcy and then during the bankruptcy, both from an old company perspective and with the what it took to buy the company out of bankruptcy. There's a lot of different angles to look at it, and you know, every once in a while, especially when I'm out on a run, I'll kind of just think back to those days and think about what we went through, and it's still amazing that we were able to pull off what we did.
Jeff and I would contact each other a little bit during that time, and it was just kind of surreal because in the end, there's so many aspects to what went down, but in the end, you beat the national chain to buy back the local chain. That doesn't happen very often.
No, you know, and I've said this before, you know, when you're in bankruptcy, you know, a couple of things that you learn is that there are no rules and it's not a level playing field. And when you're going against what they call a stalking horse, someone that was already had an agreement to buy the company, it makes it very difficult for an outsider to come in and to be able to, in the time frame, to put together an entire deal to basically be the winning bidder at an auction. And we were fortunate enough to make that happen. And you know, the more I look back, you know, everything in business and in life revolves around people. And I think having, knowing the right people and having the good relationships over the years definitely helped that, whether it's from the financing side of it and more importantly to our associates in our company who kept coming to work and doing the job despite all the unknowns that were out there. I mean, that's the amazing part, you know, is that we didn't have people jumping ship and leaving. You know, they hung out, and I kind of sometimes chuckle now when I go through the store. You know, people said, you know, they'll come up to me and say, "Oh, we always knew you were going to pull this out." And I'm like, you know, they had a lot more faith and confidence than what I did. But I think that, you know, that just says, you know, the people at Strax, you know, we have so many people that worked for many, many years. And you know, you ask me, how do I feel when I walk in the door? I really believe there's a lot of people that walk into Strax every day to work. They believe that's their company. And it's been that type of environment where they have a lot of pride and a lot of, they feel a lot of ownership in making sure that their store and our organization continues to be successful.
You know, that's a part of the whole menagerie of things that happened, is that during that time, it's almost as if the region stood by you.
I think, you know, when you look at it from all the challenges that we went through, from losing a wholesaler to struggling to find, you know, other places to buy our supplies, our groceries and our perishables. And, you know, sometimes our store conditions didn't look all that great. And but customers, they kept coming into the stores. And I think a lot of it's a relationship that our customers have with our associates on the front line. You know, they're family, they're friends, just like we are. You know, we live in the neighborhoods and support the causes, and they kept showing up. So, it was an interesting period, and definitely one that I'm glad is behind us. It's been real exciting as we move forward. That we're looking at things now. What are we going to do here for future remodels? What do we want our stores or new stores to look like in the future? And a year ago we were just hoping to make it through the day, and it's kind of nice now to be able to start strategically planning a more forward looking vision.
So let's look at that. Late summer, or was it August that
we closed on August 3rd.
August 3rd. So we got midsummer really that you bought back the company, you and the Van Til family, and you guys bought them back. So that's several months now. I don't know, 2/3 of a year, 3/4 of a year. What's happened in that time?
We've really worked a lot on rebuilding our culture and our foundation, and we've really tried to get back to basics and what Strachan Van Til was known for and what it stood for, from the foundation that my grandfather and Mr. Van Til started 60 years ago, and that was continued through from my dad and Frank and Sam, and really wanting to get back to being what Strachan Van Til stood for, how we treated our customers, our associates, how we interact in the community, and we spent a lot of time with that. We've also gone and a lot of transition, behind the scenes of switching wholesalers. We've switched 3 wholesalers in less than a year, and that's a lot. That's a big challenge for any store. There's products that got on the shelf, that came off the shelf, that we're missing, and working real hard even today to reset our stores to make sure we have that variety up. We've in the last 9 months, we converted an Ultra Foods in Maryville to a Strachan Van Til, and recently converted a Town and Country in Portage to a Strachan Van Til. Putting in the, expanding the perishable departments, upping the customer service and the service in those departments. The Van Til family just recently completed a multi-million-dollar project of renovating their store and doing much of the same things, expanding that perishable offering and putting in meal solutions. And I think, they have a sushi bar now and a bigger produce department, and the store, the stores have really turned out beautiful. And I think, customers want a nice place to shop, and that's what we've been known to give them over the years.
Why the sushi bar?
I think sushi is it's something that continues to grow, and it's a quick and easy meal solution that's pretty good. It's really good quality. I mean, it's something I usually grab on a Friday night for my wife and myself for our dinner.
When you grab that, and you're coming from the Highland office, maybe you're going to the Munster store or the Highland store.
Typically, I will. I'll swing by the Highland store on Friday nights.
The main one.
It
was the original one. It's not the main one. It's not nearly the largest one anymore, is it?
It's not the largest in square foot. No, that'd probably be our shareable store. But I swing by there, and it gives me an opportunity to see what's going on at the dinner hours. A critical time for us now in our operation, but sushi, they do a great job. I mean,
it's in most of them, right, or some of them.
Probably in about half of our stores now. Some stores, we have some smaller stores, Whiting and
Munster's a smaller store.
It is, but it has enough space, and we years ago when we remodeled, we were able to carve enough space out for that side of the store.
That does a lot of business right up front, by the way. I forget the guy's name. I see him in there all the time.
The manager?
No, the sushi guy. He's got an accent, and it's not the easiest of communications, but he knows what I want, and he just points to it, and there it is, basically the California rolls with the brown rice and the horseradish on the side. But if you look at it, like you go into your Cherville store, I mean, there's a lot of there's hot food up front. So I mean, I see a lot of people coming in at lunchtime. I was there maybe last week picking some stuff up, and they're going in there, and there's kind of a line there because they've all picked up their little chicken wings and their little hot food and a salad, and then they run right back out the door. I mean, that's kind of a shift.
Well, I mean, I think that's a change in how people look at grocery stores. There's a lot more people selling what, I consider, your center store type of items, and that's where we've had to shift and find ways to recapture some of those dollars that we've lost to, whether big box stores, online, dollar stores, and we feel that upgrading our offerings in the fresh departments and meal solutions is a way for us to continue to get people to come back into our stores and and have our brand remain relevant to the consumer.
We're talking to Jeff Strack. If you want to talk to him, 219-845-1100. I just told him, asked him to stop by. I think I told him. I think I just asked him to stop by and say, hey, just update us on what's going on. We haven't talked in a while. And, of course, we're sitting here in the Strack and Van Til studios. They've been a huge supporter of WJOB and the WJOB spirit. And one of the things that you notice about Strack and Van Til, and maybe it's one of the things that was kind of able to get us through, and I mean us by the extended Strack and Van Til family through some really difficult times last year, is the fact that it's not a North Lake County thing, it's not a South Lake County thing, it's not just a Porter County thing, but it is an Indiana thing. And it's kind of an area-wide thing. If you think about institutions that are in all areas that kind of pull the region together, Strack and Van Til is one of the first ones that you think of.
Right. With having 20 locations throughout Northwest Indiana and being part of the communities that we've been involved with for over 60 years, it's been, I think it was something that people have an attachment to. And that's what we really want to, from a marketing degree, having that emotional attachment to a brand is, once you can have that, it's something special. And I think that's what we have here in Northwest Indiana, with our commitment to the communities, to our people, to Northwest Indiana, and all the things that we're involved with. I mean, we're involved in, it's amazing how much time that people in our office spend weekly going through donation requests to support so many wonderful organizations and events. They're spending hours of time going over that. And, sometimes we have to make some difficult decisions, but being part of that community goes a long way. And I think that Northwest Indiana is a little bit different that way. I said that all along last year, that you look at the supermarket industry, the banking industry, and a few other industries, we just don't have those big national players that dominate the landscape.
Yeah, I mean, you look at banking, you get, obviously Centeer is one of them, and Peoples are pretty big players. Some of the folks that have come across maybe from Illinois, I think First Merchants comes out of Indiana, and that's helped them come into the area. But some of the other ones that have come in from Illinois, they get over here and they're like, why is it so hard to get into the Indiana market? Well, you're not from Indiana. That's a big factor.
I mean, we see that even just in our merchandising and what people buy. When we had the stores in Illinois, there's different preferences of taste and how they look at different items. And you wouldn't think that, being so close and across the state line, that there's differences, but there are. And
are you glad you're out of Illinois mostly? Are there? How many?
We're out of Illinois.
There's not one left. You're out of Illinois.
I'm happy to be in Indiana and focused in on our 20 stores here. And never say never, but I think right now that was best for us. There's a lot of different challenges in Illinois, and right now it was just something that we didn't need to deal with in the immediate future.
So you came up with the Indiana Made marketing campaign. How has that worked?
It's I think it's a wonderful campaign. It was one that we kind of developed and started to get rolling, and then we went through all our turmoil last year, and that's some of the other things behind the scenes that we've been working on is a new branding and marketing campaign, and we look to keep that still rolling. I mean, because there's a lot of people that promote we are local and locally here and this and that, but the one thing that people in Northwest Indiana, especially our competitors, they can't say they're Indiana made. Strack and Van Til has been part of and is of Northwest Indiana in one form or fashion for nearly 90 years.
219-845-1100. You want to talk to Jeff? He's got a little bit of time because Frank Revan comes in on the back end of that, and Frank is like really impatient, and if Jeff stays too long, he's gonna beat on him, even though Jeff Strack supports about 4 of the charities that Frank's involved with. Let's go to Jamie on 599. Jamie, you're on with Jeff Strack. What's going on?
Hey, Mr. Strack, thank you for everything you do for the community and keeping your grocery store back around and having everything in the community. The one question I have is, I don't understand how, once in a while, every summer or, every, seasonal season, you guys will run a 24-pack beer special for $11.99 a case, losing $5 at least a case of beer. How do you guys do that, and how is that beneficial? I don't understand how that's.
I don't know if that really is beneficial for us. I mean, sometimes we do some things, and we talk a lot now around our organization is that we need to grow sales, but we also need to grow it responsibly, and it means we're responsible now to drive sales and for profits, and obviously sometimes there's things, whether it's beer or pop or other turkeys at Thanksgiving, that we do lose money on it, but we have to be a little more smart on how we use items for loss leaders, and certainly if you're losing $4 or $5 a case on beer, there's a lot of other things that we could be doing in the store that might have a greater impact on business than just on a single item. But I know last year we did that during that time frame, and we were looking at some ads coming up, and we had a pretty aggressive ad for one of the summer holidays, and it would be pretty difficult to repeat that again this year.
Do you get? Go ahead, Jamie.
I just think it's really amazing because people like out in the market really think, wow, they're charging $11.99 for a 24-pack beer, but they don't really realize that you're losing $4 right off, $4 or $5 right off the head.
Well, some of the we're going to talk a little bit about that. So sometimes how does that work? I mean, sometimes the supplier wants you to be aggressive with their product, and they'll reduce it for you, right?
Sometimes they'll come in and they'll give us, if you want, for lack of a better word, discounts, right? Here's we're going to put this on a promotion. We'll give it to you at X amount of cost if you can run it at this price. But most often it's here's our deal, and for simplicity's sake, say it's $10. We might make the decision to go $10.99 or $9.99 or $7.99. And it's just a matter of how we feel. Is it the right item, the right price at the right time? And he's right. The consumer probably doesn't understand that there are some of those items that last year I think it was $4 or $5 a case on a beer that we're losing. I mean, it's to me that's not very smart, and
but it drives people into the stores.
It does, and that's what you got to measure. What's the overall benefit? Are you better off to spread that out into other departments and to have something more well-rounded? At Thanksgiving time, I'm sure the average consumer would be shocked at how much money we would lose. I mean, there were years that for a small company like us, we were losing well over $1 million just on turkeys, and
I often wondered because you guys have really aggressive turkey pricing. We always buy it over here at the Highland store, and there's been a couple times where I want one in this range. Oh, they're in the back. Hold on, they're going so quickly. They can't keep them they can't keep them stocked quick enough. People are walking up picking one and walking away. I mean, what's the rationale behind selling them so cheaply?
Turkeys, I think it's one of those things that it's been built up over years, and all other retailers market turkeys cheap. And I think we're all afraid to be the one retailer that doesn't advertise it at whether it's 39 or 49 or 59 cents a pound. You don't want to be the one that's 79 or 99. Because
I think off season it's around 99 or $1.29, something like that. Yeah,
in there, and I think it is the one meal a year that probably indexes the highest. Probably 95% of the people that day have a turkey as part of their meal, and at Christmas time it's a little more balanced. There's turkeys, there's rib roasts, there's hams, but Thanksgiving it's turkeys, and nobody wants to be the retailer that's sitting out there on Thanksgiving Day after dinner saying, yeah, I paid 69 cents at my store. Well, I got mine for 39 cents. But that's always it's a horrible week for us as a profitability Thanksgiving week. Stores are busy and people think that things are going well, but it's definitely a week that we can't wait to get over with and get back to normal business.
He's Jeff Strack and Van Til. We're here in the Strack and Van Til studios. You want to talk to him? I got time for 2 more phone calls if you want to get into it now. Hey, Walt, how you been, man?
Okay, well...
hey, Walt, I used your term today when I was analyzing the political scene around here as tribal politics. And I don't know why I did that. It just seems to apply to the sheriff's race. But that's not why you called. What's going on?
Well, most consumers have no idea as to how thin the profit margins are in the supermarket business and how competitive it is. And things like, the stores are filled and during the Thanksgiving period, people figure, well, they must be making money hand over fist. Well, they have, to get people in the door, they have to offer these loss leaders, and I take advantage of them. Why not? But I also buy the other stuff too. So,
well, that's the plan.
You know, what are the kind of things that you think are a loss leader that you might buy? I know turkey is one of them. Sometimes milk, right?
Well, definitely milk. You know, mostly things that are you have a copy of our ad up there. I mean, most of those things on that front page are things that we're losing money on. And you're right. Our industry is such a thin line between profitability and losing money. And, you know, that's why we focus on also a lot of other things that, you know, how do we keep our expenses down in our stores? How do we reduce shrink, you know, so we're not over ordering perishables and having to throw it out? How do we protect our inventory? So, you know, a case comes in and there's 12 cans of corn, and if 6 of them get damaged, you know, we literally got to sell probably 10 cases to make up for that loss. You know, those types of things that that's a type of thing that we've been focused on the last 9 months to get better at reducing shrink so we can help our profitability, so we can help promote and drive our business more.
Well, when your last name is Strack, one nice thing about having that kind of a name is that Strack and Van Til has generally a very good reputation for quality service, including the performance of your staff. When you were trying to buy it out of bankruptcy, I doubt it had much influence, but I would say you probably had a lot of public goodwill from the area in terms of cheering that you would be able to buy it out of bankruptcy and keep it in a local ownership. But, so you had a little bit of that kind of a push from the public at large. Now, right now, the economy is doing better. Do you sense any? Do you see that in your sales overall?
You know,
hold on a second. We're gonna hang up on Walt, but Ryan, can you mark this? It's 7:26 here on April 26th. I'm pretty sure, Walt, you just gave Jeff Strack a compliment. Did you realize that?
Doesn't happen too often, as
It doesn't happen in like the 10 years we've been on the air together and the thousands of phone calls. We marked this time. All right, hang up. We're going to talk about the economy. Thanks a lot, Walt. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been listening for years. That might be the most surprising compliment you may have gotten in a long time.
Well, I'll take it. You know, and his question on the economy, it's an interesting question. And sometimes when you think when the economy is going one direction, you think the business would follow. It doesn't always occur that way. You know, a couple of years ago when, you know, there was, you know, the gas prices had fell, and it was like customers all of a sudden during the year could have $500,000 extra or in their pocket. You know, you think, well, now they have extra disposable income to spend, and it really didn't translate out like that. And right now, while business is good, I'm not sure with some of the changes in the tax code last year or this year if that's really reflected down to our level as much right now. I think people are still concentrating on maybe reducing debt, maybe some higher ticket items that they may be purchasing. But so those are it's always an interesting thing to talk about how that economy goes. I mean, I know when the economy is well, it makes it more challenging for us to hire good quality people because there's very few jobs out there. And
so are we at one of those points now? I mean, it's getting to be a tighter labor market. Maybe not that tight, but there's some projections that over the next year it might become kind of tight to find some people.
We have to work really hard at keeping our store staffed well with the people we want. And when you talk about customer service, and Walt mentioned, I mean, that's what Strack and Van Til has to be known for. I mean, there's other competitors that may not have the best service or the best store conditions, but people expect that from Strack and Van Til. I mean, we have to be known for providing the best customer service, the best shopping experience in the market, because otherwise there's other places that people can go, and we can't afford to have that.
I asked Jeff to stop by. He'll do this from time to time, so we're not going to cover everything. But we do have to cover that they're selling beer and wine on Sundays. But it was a little bit confusing to me when I was brought out there, and Debbie and Ryan said, hey, you need to go out to Strack and Van Til's on Sunday at noon, and they're having Sunday sales. And I you know, it was right in the middle of, you know, the a lot of states are legalizing, you know, recreational use, and I got confused, but we're going to play that spot. We're going to play that right now, and here it is right now. I went out on the Sunday, the first Sunday of Sunday sales. Here it is. And Christina's going to bring it to us. Go ahead. There it is.
And that is in honor of my friends at Calumet Brewery, the Kiernans, who have been there. No, I'm gonna do.
You know what? Can you go to the beginning of that?
So,
go to the beginning of that. That's me at the checkout. I bought the first. Here it is.
Kilo AM 1230 WJOB on 104.7 FM. Also on Facebook Live right now, and I got to tell you, we've been really busy this week. I want to thank everybody. We've had almost 100,000 views of high school sectional basketball action, and I have been so busy I haven't really been following the news. So my wife said, hey, you got to get up and go over to Strack and Van Til's. They're one of your biggest sponsors because they're having Sunday sales. And I'm like, Sunday sales? I hadn't even been following it on the news. I didn't even know they had legalized any of it. I mean, medicinal use might have been okay, but you can only buy it in Sundays in Indiana. That's genius. It's beer. So I got some right here. I don't have my glasses on. It says organic on it. And then just in case I brought a bag of Cheetos, and I want to be the first one to be in Sunday sales.
It's alcohol, beer, Jim.
It's alcohol?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Sunday. Okay, well, like I said, I've been very busy with high school basketball sectionals. Did 6 games this week, crazy ending.
Anyways, it goes on from there, and Jeff is there, and we go up to. We met a Teamster guy. Remember,
Yes.
he wanted to be the first one, and I'm like, listen, Mr. Teamster guy, I got the first 6-pack in the Strack and Van Til chain on Sunday sales, and I still have that sitting, and no one's able to drink it. It is a Bud Light one in honor of the Kiernans that have been big supporters of the station right around the corner at Calumet Breweries. And I guard that thing. As a matter of fact, my stepson was over, and he said, hey, man, what about that 6-pack? And I'm like, don't you dare touch that 6-pack. That is a historical 6-pack. How has that changed things, Sunday sales?
You know, it's had a slight benefit for sales. I think it's redistributed some of the sales from Saturday over to Sunday. Certainly, it's limited to 8 hours on Sunday, 12 to 8. And so that from a typical day, as far as the normal store distribution of sales, it's lower, but it has a slight increase, not as much as I think outside people may have thought we would have had.
All right, he's Jeff Strack. Thanks for dropping by. He's going to do this from time to time. He's finally agreed to it, and I appreciate it. And I will see you at the food bank. Strack and Van Til, very big supporter of the food bank. And they're opening up a new location. It's on next week, right?
May 3rd at 11 o'clock. We're going to have a special announcement at a new location, and it's a really exciting time here to finally be able to see some good things coming to help reduce food insecurity in Northwest Indiana.
Which we'll cover that maybe next time he comes in. We'll get a little bit more. Maybe bring somebody in from the food bank. Thanks a lot for coming in, and thanks for what you do for WJOB in the region.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, speaking of guys that do a lot of good stuff for the region, and he is here today again with me, and that is Frank Mervan III. He's up next. Don't go anywhere. I believe we're going to stop this Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and pick it up again because this is going to be the paid show of the North Township. Be right back.
On May 8th, vote for Democrat Andrew Silvestrowitz for Lake County Clerk of Circuit Courts. Andrew is a qualified Democrat and has 12 years of experience as a councilman in Maryville at every